All right, let's continue now. I invite you to welcome warmly to the podium to bring remarks from the Ministry of Social Development and Family Services. Please welcome the Deputy Permanent Secretary, Mr. Dennis Williams.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to ask you to grant me the permission to break with protocol. We are moving up to a little past 10 o'clock, so I would want to skip the extensive salutation. So I would just say that all protocols are observed. I want to begin my remarks with high commendation to the Down Syndrome Family Network on the 8th anniversary of its annual conference, which is being hosted in commemoration of World Down Syndrome Day. Ladies and gentlemen, the positive aggression with which the Down Syndrome Family Network advocates for persons with Down syndrome plays a pivotal role in raising awareness about the basic human rights and dignity of persons with Down syndrome. Among these rights include the right to employment, fair and equal remuneration, the right to education, the right to marry and raise families, and yes, the right to a drop-low car as well. It is interesting that it's an interesting coincidence that this year's theme, No One Left Behind, shares the same underlying principle as the National Development Strategy for Trinidad and Tobago, Vision 2030. This year's theme is representative of Trinidad and Tobago's commitment to the elimination of poverty, social injustice, inequalities, and that are experienced by the most vulnerable among us. It is well known that individuals who are born with Down syndrome are usually given a life expectancy of about 60 years. However, through advances in medical research and technology, life expectancy has been increasing. Many of us are particularly parents and guardians of children born with Down syndrome, know very well of the associated medical challenges. An estimated 40% of children with Down syndrome experience congenital heart defects, have a higher incidence of infections, experience respiratory, vision and hearing problems, as well as thyroid and other medical conditions. However, with appropriate medical care, most individuals are able to live normal lives. Regrettably, ladies and gentlemen, the care and access to facilities necessary for being able to live a normal life creates a lot of challenges for families. And the government of Trinidad and Tobago, being very much aware of this, are currently pursuing several initiatives to improve support for at-risk households. Some of the initiatives that we have embarked upon to date include the introduction of a special child grant, the extension of the disability assistance grant to persons under 18 years. Previously, this grant was not available to persons under 18 years of age. So by about May of this year, we would fully implement this measure where persons under 18 years can access a disability assistance grant. Operationalization of the National Enrichment Center for Persons with Disabilities. The cost of therapies for persons with developmental and physical disabilities can be prohibitive for parents. So the intention is that at that facility, we would make available therapies at little or no cost to parents. Community therapeutic services for persons with disabilities is another initiative which we are discussing with the Ministry of Health. And under this initiative, therapeutic services would be available at health centers throughout the country. Our national policy on persons with disabilities, we're now in the process of revising that policy. And in that policy, there are a number of policy intentions that would translate into services for all persons with disabilities. I invite you to visit the ministry's website to have a look at that policy document, and you would have an opportunity to make recommendations for the review. We are targeting to complete the review of that policy by the end of May this year. Counseling and psychosocial support for parents and guardians. It is a challenge to have to care for a child with Down syndrome and other disabilities as well. So care for carers come into focus. And because we are aware of the kinds of challenges in that regard, counseling services are available for parents and guardians of children with Down syndrome and other children with disabilities. Our transportation service for persons with disabilities, the Eldamo transport system, which we operate in collaboration with the Public Transport Service Corporation. I would accept that there are some challenges with that service, but together we can work to improve that service. Nevertheless, it is a service that is available for persons with disabilities. We have had some collaborations with the corporate and other sectors of this country to make access to ICT more available to persons with disabilities. Recently, we have collaborated with the Telecommunications Authority of Trinidad and Tobago for a program under which persons with disabilities would access mobile phones equipped with assistive features. And this initiative is available for access to all persons with disabilities, so that persons can go to the mobile outlets, access these phones with special assistive features, so that they would not be left out. The digital divide would not be something that exists as far as persons with disabilities are concerned. Provision of financial support for NGOs who provide services for persons with disabilities. We do this through the provision of an annual subvention. We would as well provide support for capital projects of organizations that provide services for persons with disabilities. We would also provide one-off grants for important projects such as this one. We have had a collaborative relationship with the Down syndrome family, the Down Syndrome Family Network, for the last several years. We have supported this project because we feel this project says value for money, and in a time when funds are limited, as we are all aware, it is even more difficult to make finances available, so that this project, we feel, was a useful project. As I said, it was value for money, and we are always available to support this project every year that it is implemented. In closing, ladies and gentlemen, I once again want to commend the Down Syndrome Family Network for its unstinted commitment to the target group, and I implore all of us to commit to focusing on and accentuating the abilities of persons with disabilities and focusing less on their disabilities. Collectively, we can ensure that their innate talents are nurtured and developed. As I end, I ask God's blessings on every one of us. Thank you and have a very fruitful day.